Professor Richard Ekins KC joins us, head of the Judicial Power Project at the Policy Exchange think tank and Professor of Law and Constitutional Government at the University of Oxford. Let's deal with the warrant for Netanyahu first. He says it's ridiculous. Is it?
Well, I think the court had no authority to grant it, so he's got a point. The ICC, the International Criminal Court, is limited in its jurisdiction. Israel is not a state party to the Rome Statute, and the court should not have been issuing arrest warrants. The prosecutor shouldn't have sought them, but the court shouldn't have issued them in relation to Benjamin Netanyahu or Yoav Gallant.
What about to the commander of Hamas?
Well, I think they could have issued it there, I think, although Palestine is not a state, so strictly it's quite hard to see how they've got jurisdiction there either. I think pretty clearly Hamas have been committing all manner of dreadful crimes. And there is no facility in Palestine to bring into account because, of course, Hamas are the effective government. The contrast with Israel is quite striking. There is a robust and real legal system in Israel. It does hold people in high government office to account. And if the International Criminal Court had taken seriously the limits on its jurisdiction, not just that Israel is not a party, but that it should be a last resort rather than displacing existing legal systems.
That does sound quite legal and technical. What's the difference between what Israel is doing and what Russia's doing?
And in which sense? Well, I think there's a major difference.
Because Putin has got an international warrant out for his arrest, and so now has Benjamin Netanyahu, and you're saying that the two are different.
I haven't said anything about Putin yet, actually. Okay. But there's a major difference.
Should he have an international warrant out?
I actually think it's a mistake for the International Criminal Court to have issued a warrant in relation to Putin as well, because Russia's not a state party. And of course, what Putin is doing and Russia is doing in Ukraine is a dreadful, dreadful thing. I don't think that's equivalent to Israel taking action in self-defense against Hamas at all. I think they're radically different conflicts in that regard. Russia does not stand to Israel in that sense. But by issuing an arrest warrant against Putin, the International Criminal Court makes us all feel good, I think, because some action is being taken, it seems. But actually, they have no jurisdiction in that context. And I think they're going to make it much harder to reach a stable peace arrangement between Russia and Ukraine in due course.
What does it mean?
And the same is true with Israel and Gaza.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. Does that change the sort of rules of combat here or not?
Well, not the rules of combat. I mean, all the parties should be subject to the law of armed conflict. And Israel, I think, does take pains to try and avoid directly targeting civilians. Obviously, Hamas has no such concern. They're quite willing to take indiscriminate action. But the point being, in due course, presumably, we want some kind of peace settlement in Israel-Gaza, and it makes it vastly harder if the International Criminal Court has placed seeking Netanyahu's arrest. I mean, they'll clearly be bolstering his domestic position, but it simply makes it harder to secure peace in due course. And the International Criminal Court is intervening in an ongoing conflict, which is not wise, and they are going to set back the cause of peace. Certainly in Israel, Gaza, probably in Russia, Ukraine, I think, I'm afraid.
Whether the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant are legitimate or not, does the court have any power? I mean, they can just ignore these commitments from the court. It seems a bit sort of pointless.
Well, it's not that clearly the court's not going to send in police authorities into Israel to arrest the prime minister of that country. It's not meaningless because, of course, it places significant restrictions on where Netanyahu can travel, and that is pretty striking that the democratically elected leader of a country that's friendly to many countries in the West is going to be under very significant restrictions where he can travel, because if he travels to many countries in the world, including many European countries, including probably Britain, although that's not entirely clear, he's likely to be arrested even while he's serving as the Prime Minister, which is pretty remarkable.
Thanks for your time, Professor Richard Ekins KC, head of Judicial Power Project at the Policy Exchange think tank.